want to address, my brothers and my sisters, translations. As we talk about spiritual warfare, I just want to talk about translations for a second. All right. Translations are so important. Here's why. Translations are important, my brothers and my sisters, because words do matter. So when you talk about which version of the Bible that you speak of, right? When you think about translations as culture change, words, the meaning of words change, right? As Bible was being translated, and those scholars could not figure out the words that was supposed to go in that place. They didn't necessarily understand Hebrew like that, or they just did not have a word for that Hebrew word. They added, right? Translations are very important, right? Now, many of you may subscribe to King James, but can I be honest with you? And do the research before you get in the comment section. King James has a lot of errors to it. In fact, can I be real? I grew up on King James. In fact, King James was the standard. But now you have to look in the footnotes because words were added. And so when words are added, it could be used for warfare, because now who will really do the research to make sure, oh, okay, this is the actual words that's supposed to be there? Now, am I critical on anybody read King James? No, I got some scriptures that yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I grew up on that. However, you need to be mindful of the translations, right? Because even translations miss out on context. In fact, when we teach Bible today, most people, they take the spiritual aspect, the unseen world out of it. Some, not all. All right. Oh, well, that sounds too mystic. No. Because we don't understand. That's what it is. So when we talk about translations, let me give you some more detail. All right. So you have something called the Masoretic text. All right. Most Jews and most Jews and Protestants consider the Masoretic text the authoritative Hebrew Bible. Protestants call it the Old Testament. While it was written between the 7th and the 10th centuries AD, ain't no domino, in the year of our Lord, it was based on this meticulously preserved oral tradition in the best available transcripts of the original Hebrew text. So what's the versions of the Masoretic text? All right. So right here, most Jews and Protestants consider the Masoretic text the authoritative Hebrew Bible. But this was written between the 7th and the 10th centuries AD. So what are the versions of the Masoretic text? King James Version, English Standard Version, New American Standard Version, and the NIV, New International Version. All right. In fact, to be honest with you, English Standard Version is not considered a Masoretic text. I'm going to correct that. All right. Disregard that, because that's actually wrong. All right. But the King James, the New American Standard Version, and the New International Version are all considered the Masoretic text. All right. And so it's important to understand that, because it's vital, my brothers and my sisters. It's very vital. I'm telling you, versions, translations matter, right? And so I had to go in and change that right now. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove that. Mesoretic text. So a lot of times you got to understand that the Mesoretic text, King James, right? The New International Version, New American Standard Bible, that was all written in the between the 7th and the 10th century. All right. And so it's important that we know that. And so I'm gonna put it all together in a second because I had to make sure that we had this. All right, here we go. So the versions of the Masoretic text is the King James Version, New American Standard Version, and the New International Version. All right, that's the Masoretic text. I need you to get this, all right? Because it was written between the 7th and the 10th centuries AD. All right, here's another translation. The Septuagint, written around 300 BC. About 70 Hebrew scholars worked together to translate the Hebrew scriptures into the Greek. That's what Septuagint means. It's the translation of the Hebrew Old Testament into the Greek, from Hebrew to Greek. All right. And the Septuagint was written around 300 BC, before Christ. Can we go back, compare the dates? The Masoretic text, written 7th and 10th centuries AD. The Septuagint, written around 300 BC. Well, if you saying King James, and you can still read King James, but just know that there are some errors to it. You can still read New American Standard Version. There are some errors to it. New International Version, there are some errors to it. And I know most people said King James was the absolute standard, and I was taught that too, until I found out, like, all right, there are some errors to it. So now, what do we consider our standard? What can we use? Here we go. I want to, and you probably heard of it before, it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls Bible provides a translation of the biblical manuscripts of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is the first translation of the earliest biblical documents ever discovered. The Dead Sea Scrolls Bible is over 1,000 years older than the previously oldest known biblical text. So it's older than the King James, the Masoretic text, and also the Septuagint. A historic first in Bible translation, focus on translating the biblical scrolls, some of which have never been translated into the English. So if you want to talk about a standard that you can weigh and make sure that the word that you're reading in context, and we're going to see how this comes up in our study in a few minutes. I only got a few more minutes with you. You want to have a copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you can get that at Amazon or wherever you can buy books. All right. You want to have the Dead Sea Scrolls, you're going to continue to read King James. Cool. Compare it to the Dead Sea Scrolls, because the Dead Sea Scrolls is about the closest thing we have to the original manuscript. You want to continue to read NIV? Compare it to the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's so important, because now we won't miss a lot of context. Words matter. And people, oh, you shouldn't be critical. Well, no, words have meaning. No, it does matter. All right. It's warfare. So it's important. It's vital. Right. I would suggest use the Dead Sea Scrolls to compare it to whatever version that you read of the Bible. All right. Because if not, you can potentially miss out on all of the context. All right.